I'm Mara.
Hi, I'm Chase.
For our practicum, we're going to be talking to you guys about Goshuin stamps.
Our project is called Goshuin. Our Goshuin Megadi starts with a trip to Ise. For this pilgrimage, we decided to visit Tsukiyomi no Miya Shrine, Ise Jingu Naiku, Yamato Hime no Miya Shrine, Ise Jingu Geku, Tsukinomi no Miya, Sarume Shrine, Ryugasha, and finally Futami Okitami Shrine. A Goshuin Megadi, or Goshuin pilgrimage, is the practice of visiting Shinto shrines in order to collect Goshuin. As discussed in class, a Goshuin is a traditional Japanese seal stamp obtained from Shinto shrines. Goshuin are red ink stamps that symbolize a connection with the deity of the shrine. They act as a proof of visit and are often seen as a spiritual or devotional token. These Goshuin are kept in what is called a Goshuin Cho, which is a special book, sometimes called a seal book, used for collecting Goshuin. While it's unclear exactly when shrines began to give out Goshuin, most people believe it was the end of the Muromachi and into the early Edo periods. In regards to Goshuin stamps, just like how a shrine will house multiple kami, so too will a shrine often house multiple Goshuin stamps. Different kami can be associated with different seals as well. Shrines also sell seasonal or festival-specific seals. A typical Goshuin stamp will cost you about 300 to 500 yen. Now that our Goshuin Megadi has come to an end, let's head back and examine Goshuin on a deeper level.
The process of being able to watch a Goshuin stamp being created is largely going to be reserved for in-person interactions. I think this is for two different reasons. The first being that the creation of the stamp is kind of a ritual because it's making a sacred object that's going to be kept in a sacred book. And so it can feel kind of improper to film. I think another reason is going to be to protect the financial interests of the shrine. This is something that they're selling, and if you film and you capture it on video or photo, someone else might be able to recreate it. They're trying to both protect the ritual and perhaps the financial interests of the shrine. So, since we couldn't exactly film Goshuin stamps being made on our little pilgrimage, I'm gonna attempt to make our class one instead. So the different parts of a stamp are going to vary based on the shrine or temple that you collect them from, but I'm going to try to go based on like the safest way to generalize like the anatomy of a Goshuin stamp. And the first is going to be the red seal itself, which usually reflects the name of the shrine or the name of the company. And so for our class shrine, I opted for the little KGU logo, because that's kind of the company that we operate under. So another common feature of a Goshuin stamp is sometimes there are going to be smaller red stamps that represent a symbol that's important to the shrine. I picked a kami horse, which represents our prayers for our academic prowess being carried to the deities. And then we have the torii gate, because that's probably one of the most popular and recognized symbols for Shinto. So the final part is the black text or the calligraphy. On the left side is yep, the left side, is usually the date. So I picked the date of our practicum, April 28th, 2025, as kind of like, I would say maybe the most important date for our class. Now, the middle is usually going to be the shrine itself, what the shrine is called. So I named ours the Guardian Shrine of Shinto Education. So that's what the characters say in the middle. And then sometimes, not always, but if there's going to be additional calligraphy, usually in the upper right corner, it's going to be the specific deity that the shrine is dedicated to. So we have Tenman Tenjin, or Shigawara no Michizane, who is the Shinto deity of education. Okay, so the whole reason around kind of designing a Goshuin Meguri around a specific regional area was I wanted to see if I could trace any regional similarities between stamps. And I picked Issei because I know Issei has like a very specific identity as placing itself at like the top of the hierarchy in Shinto. So I wanted to see what the group of shrines that might consider themselves kind of the cream of the crop of Shinto practice, what kind of things that might be similar across all of their stamps. And it ended up being this like air of simplicity. So these three shrines weren't so simplistic, but a majority of them were. And what I'm wondering is if these shrines near Issei may be trying to kind of protect their identity as religious sites versus tourist destinations. Because now Goshuin have been like recognized as kind of a financial like lifeboat for shrines. It's a big way that they make their money. It's a big way that they might stay in business, so to speak. I feel like maybe the shrines at Issei don't want to have that image because it might strip them of their religious validity. I think what I took away from this specifically was how visiting shrines for me has always been about a lot more than collecting the stamps. And so going on kind of a shrine pilgrimage just for the express reason of collecting stamps and only spending a short amount of time at the shrines so we could get to the next to make sure that we got there before the Goshuin stand closed. Like, I didn't get much out of that experience. And I don't know, I just think everyone has their different reasons for visiting shrines and they're all valid as long as you're being respectful, and I found mine, which is to maybe engage in the practice and look at the architecture and read as many plaques as I can through my Google Translate camera, rather than seeing this as kind of a souvenir book. So that's what I took away from it. And I hope that everyone else can also find what matters to them the most through Shinto practice.
So for my reflection on this project, actually I take a pretty opposite stance to Amara, and that doing this and going and getting these Goshuin, especially at Issei, where I was expecting maybe a little bit more extravagant or like not culturally significant, but just something a little bit more. So I was left a little disappointed. I actually picked up less than Amara just because I wasn't a huge fan of the more simplistic designs. Like obviously I got the one at Issei, but for sure, like my favorite ones were the ones we picked up at the Wedded Rocks, and it just made me realize that for me, when I go to shrines and stuff, outside of doing the prayers and like looking at everything that there is, that like the main appeal for Goshuin for me is that they look visually appealing, because that helps me remember the shrine a lot more, and seeing as how I have memory issues as it is, it's rather important for me to have a vivid memory of the shrine that I visited. So on the flip side of Amara's argument that maybe they didn't get as much out of it, I think that I also didn't get that much out of it just because I was expecting maybe a little bit more visually, and I think that Issei is perhaps not the place for someone like me who's looking for more extravagant and big Goshuin stamps. So that is my reflection on it, and I appreciate that I was able to find a different side to this, and that me and Amar can have more conversations about Goshuin in a way that's cool.